A comet is a heavenly body. It stays in the skies or in the heavens. As long as it doesn't collide with the earth, everything is perfectly fine. But if there are chances of this collision, then it can create a havoc on the planet.
What are comets? Comets are small celestial bodies. Scientists cannot seem to agree on whether comets are dirty snowballs or snowy dirt balls because of the mixture of ice, gas and dust that they comprise of. They are different from asteroids because they are huge balls of ice and gas. Comet sightings have been recorded since ancient times. In ancient cultures, comet sightings were considered bad omens such as the death of nobility, famine, or attacks from the heavenly realm. Parts of a comet. The solid ball of the comet is known as the nucleus or core. It mostly consists of ice, dust, and dark organic matter. The ice is mostly frozen water but can also be methane, ammonia, or carbon dioxide. When a comet nears the sun, the frozen parts of the comet begin to turn to gas. The gas forms a cloud around the nucleus that is known as a coma. Often, this cloud is filled with hydrogen and is then referred to as the hydrogen cloud. Radiation from the sun also charges the dust particles of the comet, causing it to scatter over 10 million kilometers. The dust tail is the most prominent part of the comet and can be seen to the naked eye. Comets can take anywhere from several decades to a few hundred years to complete one orbit around the sun. When it is closest to the sun, it is known as the perihelion, and the opposite is called the aphelion. Since the Earth is relatively close to the sun, we see it during its perihelion. Many comets have been sighted and recorded throughout history.
This story, The Comet, is divided in two parts. Chapter 9 depicts part 1 of the story and chapter 10 depicts part 2. So today with this session we are going to start with chapter 9, that is the first part of the story, The Comet. This story is basically a depiction of a dilemma between rational thinking process and superstitions. If on one hand Dattada was rational, his wife was a superstitious one. Now, which aspect of belief wins at the end? Let's look at that in the story. So in today's session, I'll read out the story and explain it to you and do the comprehension check questions related to this chapter. But I'll discuss the moral of the story at the end of chapter 10 when we finish this entire story together. So let's start with the session without much delay. But of course, before we start reading, let's know something about the author of the story, Mr. Jayant Narlikar. Jayant Vishnu Narlikar was born on 19 July 1938 in Kolhapur, Maharashtra. He is an Indian astrophysicist and professor at Inter-University Center for Astronomy and Astrophysics in Pune. Besides scientific papers and books and popular science literature, Narlikar has written science fiction, novels, and short stories in English, Hindi, and Marathi. He is also the consultant for the science and maths textbooks of NCERT. He has received many awards like Smith's Prize in 1962, Padma Bhushan in 1965, Adams Prize in 1967, Padma Vibhushan in 2004, and Prix Jules Johnson in 2004. A Bengali man was one such person who had an ambition of discovering a comet someday. So after his retirement, he spent most of his time gazing the skies at night in the expectation of finding a comet. And one day he did. But this comet created a lot of motion in the entire world. There was something very specific about this comet. Let's read the story and let me explain you what this comet had the speciality and what was the problem which was created due to this comet. Dattada An amateur scientist. Amateur is a non-specialist or a non-professional. Can't stay away from the keen-eyed Divya Chakshu for long. Divya Chakshu was the name of Dattada's telescope. Divya helps him achieve his secret ambition. Dattada's wife Indrani Devi wishes he hadn't found the object of his search. It was a moonless night in December. A burst of cool breeze from the window was enough to disturb the sleep of Indrani Devi. Half awake, she felt for the adjoining pillow. Adjoining means be next to. Although she knew the answer, Dattada was not there. So, he has gone to hobnob with that wretched Dibya? Hobnob means spend time, and wretched means bad. At least he might have bothered to close the door. Even as she muttered her complaints, Indrani Devi could not repress her smile. Repress means suppress. She knew how utterly oblivious her husband was of the practical problems of living. Didn't his doctor tell him to take special precautions against the cold? But he wouldn't remember to put on a sweater, even if it was lying on his bedside chair. How could he when Dibya had put her spell on him? The scene is set in the house of Sri Manoj Datta. So that night was a December night. It was very cool, and a breeze from the window had disturbed Indrani's sleep. When she woke up, she found that her husband Dattada was not there, and she knew that he must be up on the terrace gazing the stars. But even while complaining, Indrani Devi had her smile, which was suppressed, because she knew how forgetful and how unaware her husband was in terms of taking care of his own health. She picked up the white woolen pullover, wrapped herself in a shawl, and made her way to the roof to break up his tete-a-tete with Divya. Tete-a-tete means a private meeting or talk between two persons. She found them both huddled together eye to eye. At least Dattada was looking into Divya's eyes. When Dattada acquired this telescope, he was so thrilled that he called it Divya Chakshu, which means divine eye. To Indrani Devi, the telescope was like a designing woman who had ensnared her husband. Ensnare means trapped. So she just called it Divya and the name stuck. To Dattada, the telescope marked the fulfillment of the ambition of a lifetime. As an amateur astronomer is an expert of astronomy. He had longed for enough money to buy a good telescope and for enough spare time in which to observe the heavens. Heavens means skies. He got them both when he retired with ample money. Ample means too much, lot of money. The telescope was duly installed, and long were the dark nights that Dattada spent in stargazing. At least Indrani Devi thought so. Indrani Devi knew that Dattada might not have taken his sweater with him on that cold night, so she picked up his woolen pullover and wrapped herself in a shawl, and she went to the roof. And as she had expected, Dattada was together with Divya, and he was looking into Divya's eyes. Now, as I had told you earlier, that Divya was not a woman, but it was a telescope. It was named as Divya Chakshu, which means divine eye. But Indrani Devi was so jealous of this telescope, she always thought this telescope to be a woman who had trapped her husband in her magic, and therefore she used to call this telescope as Divya. To Dattada, this telescope was very precious because it was the fulfillment of his ambition. His dream was to buy a good telescope after his retirement and spend as much time as possible for him to observe the skies at night. And therefore, after retirement, when he got a lot of money, he bought a nice telescope and he spent most of his nights in stargazing. Here, put on this sweater. Or do you want Naveen Babu to order bed rest tomorrow? Naveen Babu was the doctor. Like every other amateur astronomer, Dattada had a secret ambition that he would one day discover a new comet. For comets can be new, coming as they do from the remote corners of the solar system. Like planets, comets also orbit round the sun, but their orbits are highly eccentric. Eccentric means uncommon. So once in a while, a comet comes close to the sun. It has a longish tail that is lit brilliantly by the sunlight, and then it recedes or goes back into darkness, not to be seen again for years or for centuries. What chance did he stand with his 8-inch Divya? Didn't professional astronomers have gigantic telescopes? Gigantic means very huge. Dattada was optimistic. Optimistic means hopeful. He knew that the professionals with their pre assigned programs would be looking at faint stars and nebulous galaxies. Nebulous means hazy. They might miss such an insignificant thing as a comet, which they were not expecting to see anyway. Indeed, amateurs had often discovered new comets which the professionals had missed. Dattada was a non professional astronomer. He was new to this field. But he had a secret ambition that one day he will discover a new comet. Now, comets are heavenly bodies which come from remote corners of the solar system. And like planets, these comets also orbit or they also revolve around the sun, but their orbit or path of revolution are highly uncommon. They are very unlikely. So, once in a while, a comet comes close to the sun, and when it comes close, it has a long tail of fire which is lit by the sunlight, and then slowly it goes back into the darkness again. And then, for the next few years or for centuries, that comet is never seen again. Now, it is also mentioned here that if there were professional astronomers who had big telescopes, then did Dattada had any chance of finding a comet with his small 8-inch telescope called Divya? But well, Dattada was very optimistic. He knew that what professionals wouldn't do, he would do it one day. But professionals are busy with other programs or pre assigned projects, and therefore, in order to see these stars and galaxies, they sometimes miss the comets. And in history, also, there were many amateur astronomers who had discovered new comets which these professionals had missed. And it looked to Dattada that tonight was going to be the big night, for against the background of the same old stars, Dattada had detected a faint stranger. He re examined the charts with him, checked his Dibya for any smudges on the optics. Smudges mean spots or marks. Did some calculations on his pocket calculator in torchlight. For though absent minded about daily chores, he was meticulous in his observations. Meticulous means careful and exact. Yes, there can be no mistake. What he was looking at had not been there earlier, and it did look like a new comet. So, on this particular night, Dattada had high hopes because at the background of those same old stars which he had been seeing every day, he could detect a stranger there. He re examined, he rechecked his charts with him. He also cleaned the lens of his telescope to remove any smudges. Then he also did some calculations on his pocket calculator. And although he may be absent minded in his daily routine, in his daily work, but when it came to observations, he was very careful and exact. And yes, he was sure that he made no mistake in knowing that there was a new comet which he had discovered, which had not been there earlier, but today he could find it. 2 days later, the Anand Bazar Patrika came out with the news. Calcutta man discovers new comet. From our special correspondent, Sri Manoj Datta, a resident on the northern outskirts of Calcutta. Outskirts means outside areas, and Calcutta is now called as Kolkata, has claimed to have discovered a new comet. He has seen the comet on the last 2 nights and has informed the Indian Institute of Astrophysics IIA at Bangalore. Bangalore is now named as Bengaluru of its whereabouts. The IIA runs a 90-inch telescope, the biggest in Asia, at Kavalur. If it confirms Datta's findings, it will be the high point in his lifelong career as amateur astronomer. Dattada, as he is affectionately called by his friends and admirers, estimates that the comet would be clearly visible to the naked eye in the next few months. He gives all credit for his discovery to his 8-inch telescope, which he calls Dibya. Just 2 days later, after the surety of his discovery, there was a news in the newspaper Anand Bazar Patrika, and it had a headline that a Calcutta man discovered a new comet. In this news, it is also described that after his discovery, Dattada had informed IIA, that is Indian Institute of Astrophysics at Bangalore, and if IIA confirms his discovery with their 90-inch telescope, then Datta's findings will be a high point in his lifelong career as a non-professional astronomer. Thereafter, it took just 1 week for Comet Datta to be recognized and so named. For the IIA confirmed the findings and communicated it worldwide, and according to the accepted practice, the new comet was named after its discoverer. This brought in unwelcome publicity to the introvert Dattada. Introvert means shy. There were numerous receptions and functions to attend. Returning from one such ceremony, Dattada muttered to himself in disgust. Disgust means strong dislike. I almost wish I had not discovered this comet. To his surprise, Indrani Devi agreed. I wish the same, though not for the same reason. May I ask why you wish I had not discovered this comet? Dattada asked. Now, within a week, IIA also confirmed Dattada's findings, and they told worldwide that this new comet will be named as Comet Datta because it was a norm or it was a practice that the new comet will always be named after its discoverer. And soon with it came a lot of publicity for a shy person like Dattada. He hated to attend these receptions and functions, and while returning from one such ceremony, he told his wife that he wished he never discovered this comet. Indrani Devi also agreed with him, and she also wished he had never done it. But she had a different reason for this. Let's know in the next paragraph what reason did she have. Comets bring ill luck, and I wish a good man like you were not associated with the discovery of one, Indrani Devi said with concern. Dattada laughed. I see that even an MA degree has not cured you of your superstitions. There is no correlation whatsoever with the arrival of a comet and the calamities of the earth. Correlation means connection, and calamities means disasters. On the contrary, comets have been scientifically studied and their composition is well understood. There is nothing harmful about them. Well, you'll see this comet of mine pass harmlessly by causing no anxiety to anybody. In this last comment, however, Dattada was not going to be exactly right. Now, Indrani Devi told her opinion to Dattada, and she feels that comets bring ill luck or bad luck, and therefore she had wished that a good man like him should never had discovered one. But to this Dattada laughed because he did not agree to the superstitions of Indrani Devi. and he tried to convince her that there was no connection with the arrival of a comet and the disasters that happen on Earth, because their composition has been scientifically studied and it has been proved that comets are not harmful to the Earth. And well, he also told her that this new comet, which he had discovered, will also pass harmlessly near the Earth without causing any harm to anyone. But who knew that this last line of Dattada was not going to be exactly right? There was something else in store for him. This story begins with a scene in Mr. Manoj Datta's house, and he was popularly known as Dattada by his relatives and loved ones. Dattada's main ambition was to discover a comet someday. So after his retirement, he spent his retirement money and bought an 8-inch long telescope whom he named Divya Chakshu. But Indrani Devi, Dattada's wife, was not very happy with this telescope because she felt that this telescope had somehow trapped Dattada onto herself, and every night he used to spend gazing the night sky for the discovery of a new comet. And one day he happened to do that. He discovered a comet, and that new comet was named Comet Datta. This news was published in the newspaper, and within a week he attracted a lot of publicity. Dattada was a very introvert and a very shy person. He never liked too much of publicity or being amidst many people at the same time. On the other hand, Indrani Devi also was disliking this discovery, but she had a different reason for it. She believed that discovery of comets can bring ill luck to a family or to the people living on that planet. Dattada was not of this mindset. He was a very rational person and he felt that comets are generally harmless. He tried to convince his superstitious wife, but everything went in vain. Now let's see in part 2 what happens next and what is the outcome of his discovery. A British scientist writes a paper based on Dattada's discovery. He and the Defense Service advisor have a tete-a-tete over an impending calamity. Impending means close. A conference of international experts might yield a clue to the cosmic puzzle. In the spacious dining hall of King's College, Cambridge, the butler whispered deferentially. Butler is the chief manservant of the house. Whispered deferentially. Deferentially means respectfully in the provost's ear. Provost is the head of a college, and handed him an envelope on a silver tray. The provost beckoned James and passed on the envelope, saying, "It seems you are wanted urgently in your room." As he made his way towards the beautiful building, James opened the envelope. It contained a brief note. Brief means short. "Dear Dr. Forsyth, the bearer of this note has been instructed to bring you to my office in London tonight. Please come without delay. I am making arrangements for your overnight stay in London. I regret the inconvenience caused to you and request you to keep your visit strictly confidential. Believe me, it is absolutely essential. Yours sincerely, John Macpherson." The signature carried the designation underneath: Defense Science Advisor, Her Majesty's Government. The beginning of the second part is a scene in King's College, Cambridge, where in the dining hall, the provost or head of the college was sitting, and to him the servant handed over an envelope. The provost signaled James Forsyth. Dr. James Forsyth was a British scientist and he had written a paper based on Dattada's discovery. The provost handed over the envelope to James and told him to go to his room urgently. As James was going to his room, he opened the envelope. in which there was a short note written by John Macpherson. John Macpherson was Defense Senior Advisor of the Queen's government. John Macpherson had written to Dr. Forsyth that he should come to the London office immediately without any delay because there was something very important to be discussed, and that he should keep this arrival or this trip strictly confidential. He'll also make arrangements for his overnight stay in London. A bowler hatted man means a man who wore a bowler hat near the mantelpiece. Mantelpiece is a structure which is made around a fireplace. Greeted him as James entered his sitting room. I am Johnson, sir, security officer at Whitehall. He showed his identity card and continued, I presume means suppose, you know why I am here, sir. To the extent that is conveyed in this note, replied James. He knew that it would be useless to ask Johnson for further details. I won't take long. Johnson's Ford Cortina. Ford Cortina is a car which is built by Ford. Brought them to Whitehall in less than 90 minutes. It took them another 10 minutes to reach the chambers of Sir John Macpherson. Having introduced James to Sir John, the quiet but efficient Johnson slipped out. Slipped out means moved out. Dr. Forsyth, my apologies for this imposition on your time. Imposition means unfair demand that one is obliged to accept. Sir John advanced with outstretched hands. Outstretched hands means hands which are stretched out for a handshake. To avoid any further delay, I'll come to the point right away. Sir John handed him a typescript. Typescript is a typed copy of text. Why? It is my paper to nature. How did you get this original manuscript? Manuscript means a document. James was surprised and somewhat uneasy. When James reached his room, he saw a person named Johnson, who was the security officer, and Johnson had come to take James to the London office. James travelled in Ford Cortina with Johnson and he reached there within 90 minutes. And in another 10 minutes, he reached the chambers of Sir John Macpherson, who had written that letter and called him there. Sir John Macpherson did not want to waste time, and so he immediately wanted to come to the point. So he handed over a document to James. On seeing the document, James was very surprised because it was the same original document which he had given to the newspaper called Nature. This document had mentioned about the discovery of the comet which Dattada had made. But James couldn't understand how come John had got hold of this original document when he had given this document to the publisher of the newspaper. Now let's see what John has to say on this. Sir John saw his anxiety and continued, Taylor, the editor of Nature, is a friend of mine. I had asked Nature to publish it without delay since it is very important. James looked puzzled. I agree that it is important. So important, in fact, that it must never be published. That is, if what you say is correct. Sir John lit his pipe. James would never have tolerated aspersions. Aspersions means criticism on the accuracy of his work or the implied order that it must be suppressed. But he knew Sir John to be a respected scientist and was willing to hear him out. Please do not misunderstand me, Dr. Forsyth. I met Taylor today at lunch in the club where he showed me your paper. I still retain enough interest in astronomy, and he asked for my opinion before sending it to a professional referee. Referee means a judge. I immediately realized that your result has profound implications. Profound implications means deep effect. If It is correct. Now, Sir John clarified that the editor of that newspaper Nature, named Taylor, was a friend of his, and when he received that paper from James, he thought it best to be shown it to Sir John because they were friends. And when Sir John saw it, he thought that it should never be published because that paper which James had written had some important aspects about the comet which it must never be published. James was absolutely sure that whatever he had written was correct, but he wanted to hear out what Sir John had to tell on this matter. Sir John was of the opinion that if this paper was published in the newspaper, then this piece of news might create a very deep but negative impact on the people who will read it. Let me assure you, Sir John, that it is correct. I stake my reputation on it. Stake means bet. James could not contain himself any more. Could not contain means could not control. Do you realize what will happen if Comet Datta collides with the Earth as you predict it will? The effects will be catastrophic. Catastrophic means disastrous. That is why I have taken extra care to verify my calculations. Barring rare circumstances, barring means except for, the collision is inevitable. Inevitable means unstoppable. James was confident, but Sir John picked out the one qualifying phrase. What are those rare circumstances? Well, it might collide with some asteroid. Asteroid is a small rocky heavenly body orbiting the sun before reaching here, or it might just split up when near the sun, or it might evaporate. But one can't count on these fortuitous circumstances. Fortuitous means by chance. We have to proceed on the assumption that Comet Datta will collide with the Earth. Cometary collisions means collisions with comets are expected to occur once in 10 million years. But now we know that the next one will occur in a year. 10 months, to be precise, interjected James. Thank you for the correction. Do you realize that we have only 10 months of survival left for the entire living species on the earth? Don't you think we have to do something to stop all this? Now, in this part of the chapter, here comes out the secret about Comet Datta. And it said that Comet Datta was supposed to collide with the Earth. And if this collision was to take place, then the entire species or the living beings on Earth will be wiped out or they'll be dead. This was a big disaster. So, Sir John did not want this news to be published in the newspaper because it will create a big havoc or it'll bring a lot of nervousness and anxiety amongst the people. James, on the other hand, was trying to convince Sir John that his calculations were absolutely correct. And as per his calculations, within 10 months this collision may happen unless there are some rare circumstances. And these rare circumstances were if in case it might collide with some asteroid on its path, or it might just split up when it comes near the sun, or it might evaporate, or anything like that. But Sir John did not want to bank upon or trust these rare circumstances. He was still thinking about the worst. They had only 10 months of survival on this earth, and they both should come out with a solution to stop this disaster and think about how to avert this collision. A fleeting smile, fleeting means short, crossed James' face, just like a civil servant, as if we are facing here a minor breakdown of law and order. He thought to himself. Aloud he said, "How, may I ask, can we prevent this natural catastrophe?" Catastrophe means a disaster. I don't know, but we have no option but to try. I think we need more than two brains to handle this situation. It is essential to call an urgent meeting of experts from all over the world to think of a countermeasure. Countermeasure is a step or action in the opposite direction. And of course, in total secrecy. Think of the panic in the world if this dreadful news leaks out. Sir John glanced at the manuscript in James' hand. My suppressing this paper will not hide the truth, Sir John, James said. There are others who will arrive at the same conclusion sooner or later. On hearing Sir John's opinion, there was a short smile on James' face. He thought that it was just a mere breaking of law and order. It was a minor thing which needs to be tackled. So then he asked Sir John how he thinks can they prevent this natural disaster. Now Sir John was of the opinion that only both of them could not handle this situation. So it was necessary for them to call an urgent meeting of the experts from all over the world who can think on a solution on this. And this meeting should be in total secrecy. Because if this news of collision breaks out and it goes to the general public, then people will start panicking in the world. They will be anxious, they will be nervous, and there will be a lot of chaos in public. But James told Sir John that just by suppressing this news will not hide the truth, because there were many who will sooner or later come up with this conclusion as well, and it cannot be hidden from public for long. No, do not suppress it, but tone it down. Add many ifs and buts to make your conclusion appear not so certain. I will exert all my influence with friends in other countries to make them exercise a similar restraint for a while. Restraint means control. For how long? Until this wretched comet is safely out of the way. Let us spend some time now to plan the details of this international conference. Shall we call it in a week's time here? A week to plan such an important secret conference of international experts? James thought it an impossible task, but Sir John disagreed and began to spell out details. Now here Sir John made a suggestion to James that they need not suppress or completely stop this news, but they can tone it down, means they can make it less harsh and add lot of ifs and buts to that conclusion so that it doesn't appear to be very certain, so that there appears to be a doubt in the collision. And then he told that he'll also tell his other friends in other countries to make a similar kind of control over the news. But then he wanted an international conference to be held in a week's time. But to James, holding an international experts conference in a week's time seemed impossible. Yet Sir John disagreed and he started to work on the details of this conference. The news of the discovery of Comet soon reached different parts of the world. And in King's College of Cambridge, there was a person named Dr. James Forsyth who had written a paper on this comet Datta, and he wanted it to be published in the newspaper. But before James Forsyth could make it published in the newspaper, he was called by Sir John, who was the defense science advisor during those times. Sir John wanted to discuss a very important issue with him. And what was it? According to the calculations, as per Dr. James Forsyth's calculations, within 10 months, it was expected to collide the Earth. Now this news, if was published, could have created a havoc in the public, and therefore Sir John did not want this news to be published. So he had a discussion with James, and at the end of this part, we come to know that they plan on calling an international conference of the experts and the advisors on how to avert this problem and solve this issue without any harm being caused to the Earth. So that was part 2 here. In my next session, I will take up Comet 2, that is chapter 10, and at the end of it, we'll discuss the moral. After this reading and explanation, just have a look at the comprehension check which I'm just displaying right in front of you. And till my next video, take good care of yourself and all the best. See you soon in chapter 10, Comet 2.